guys, it's Sam, and today we're going to talk about some of my favorite book-to-movie adaptations. So this video is part of a paid promotion with Disney-Hyperion for Unearthed by Amie Kaufman and Meagan Spooner. So this is the first book in a new trilogy by Amie Kaufman and Meagan Spooner. You guys may be familiar with them from the Starbound trilogy, so These Broken Stars, This Fractured Light, all of that. I ended up listening to the audiobook for These Broken Stars back in 2017 and loved it, so I was very excited to hear that they had a new trilogy coming out as well. This book was just released on January 9th, and it takes place when Earth intercepts a message from a long-thought extinct alien race. So this alien species' advanced technology may be the solution to the environmental issues and be able to turn life around, so it leads to the alien planet where this species apparently died on or didn't. So it follows two main characters, Jules, who is a scientist, and Amelia, who is a smuggler, and they end up teaming up to get to this planet because they both want the treasures that are hidden in this alien species' temples. So obviously everything on this alien planet isn't what it seems, and they have to fight to survive, and everything kind of goes from there. So Unearthed has already been tapped for a movie deal, so that's why today we're going to be talking about book-to-movie adaptations. The book-to-movie adaptations tend to be a very polarizing topic. I feel like in recent years they've gotten pretty decent, but for a long time it was tough with the book-to-movie adaptations, and I feel like recently they're good to great where you're less nervous about them. There's still those flops that end up happening, obviously, but they're a little less worrisome than they used to be with places like Netflix and Hulu and Amazon and all these places picking up these kinds of movies or TV shows, so it's a better time to be living as a book fan. So the adaptations that I end up loving are broken into two distinct categories. One is adaptations that I love on their own and I never end up reading the source material, and I'm fine with that. And the second is adaptations where I end up either watching the adaptations first, and because of the adaptations and loving them, I end up reading the books, and they end up being either better or worse, but usually I can kind of view them as two separate things, or where I read the books first, and that's why I'm watching the adaptations. So one of them I usually have no opinion about the source material because I haven't read it, and the other one I have an opinion whether it's before or after watching the adaptation. Generally speaking, I tend to be pretty good with adaptations because I'm somebody who can view the adaptations as a separate work. Like, the TV show or the movie is separate for me, and that's fine. So the first one is basically like the cream of the crop of book-to-movie adaptations, in my opinion, and that is The Lord of the Rings. I have never read The Lord of the Rings books. It's really funny because I've actually read The Hobbit and then not seen the Hobbit movies, but I haven't read Lord of the Rings and I have seen the Lord of the Rings movies. I don't know why that is. But at this point, it's just like, the movies are fine for me, I know the books are pretty dense, and I know at some point in my life I'm going to read The Lord of the Rings, but the movies were just so important to me. I saw all of them in theaters, I saw all of them at opening night, and I have watched them over and over again. One of my best friends did his dissertation on the Fellowship of the Ring. It's important to me. And these are pretty much widely accepted as some of the best adaptations made with such love and care and really not changing a ton. And then you have the extended cuts, which had even more in there. So it just made them better. And it's so beautiful, which is why people, I think, hate The Hobbit so much, because The Lord of the Rings was so good and then The Hobbit did all these bad things, but I've never really seen it, so we don't need to talk about it. Another fantasy series that I really love, and I haven't read the source material, is Game of Thrones. So A Song of Ice and Fire by George R. R. Martin. I'd always had intentions of reading the source material and then just never did. I just don't care to. It's fine. They're really long. These really long series I tend to not read the source material for. These long, dense fantasy series, because I have other long, dense fantasy series that haven't been adapted that I want to read. But generally speaking, I love the majority of Game of Thrones. Season 5 was rough. It was really rough. But like every other season's really great. Season 7, I liked. I know a lot of people didn't. I know there were some problems with squishing storylines into less episodes, and it's a thing. But overall, what a good show. Then we have an adaptation that I actually like more than the source material, and that is The Fault in Our Stars. There's a trend for this with me. I feel like I tend to like contemporary movies more than the books. So I liked The Fault in Our Stars. It was okay. It was like a 2.5, 3-star read for me, but I really liked the movie. I didn't love the movie, but I liked it more than I liked the book. And it's funny because I don't actually even really like the actors that are in it as far as the kids that are in it. I don't really like those actors, but I liked how they did in this. I think they were really good fits for this, and I end up liking the movie a lot more than the book. Still not my favorite, but I liked it. One where I like the movie and the source material equally is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, and I'm talking about the 2005 version, and I know there's lots of people who have opinions about the adaptations, but I like the 2005 version a lot. I think it's because the miniseries is great and it's really good and I like it a lot as well, but you can't just like pop in the miniseries and watch it, you know, at night in the afternoon or just when you need something like a warm, soothing hug. And that's how I feel about the 2005 version. I love it so much. The first time that I got on DVD, I watched it 3 times in a row, back to back, on the same day. I don't do that. I think it's because of how beautifully it's shot and it's so angsty, you know? Like the scene with the hand, you know what I mean? That scene's important to me. It's very important. So a lot of things about that are just wonderful and makes me so happy. It's not the most true adaptation and I fully understand that and I am fine with it. I love them both equally. Then we have another really good adaptation and specifically this is Catching Fire from the Hunger Games, but I think all the Hunger Games adaptations are top notch, but Catching Fire is the best of all of them. It's true and it has all the emotions and it has the imagery. Like when I was reading those books, I was able to perfectly picture the movies and the movie feels exactly how I pictured it in my head. Blew my mind. Now, a less likable sometimes one, and one that I just kind of consider separate, honestly, are the Harry Potter adaptations. Now, a lot of you guys already know that I read the first 3 books of Harry Potter when I was a child, got scared of them, and then didn't read them again until an adult because your girl has anxiety. So the 3rd books and the Dementors really scared me, and they scared me in the movies too, but I was somehow able to go through the movies, so I didn't watch the movies again until I was adult either, but I was watching the movies right after the books as I was reading them as an adult. So I kind of still view them a little separately because I've only ever read the book series through one time, separately obviously, over my life. So I'm currently rereading them and I'm seeing the things that were missing from the movies, but I didn't have the like recollection of the series in my head as I was watching the movies. They've always been 2 separate things for me. Yes, I picture all the characters now as those movie characters because they're just so iconic and you just can't. And now they have whole theme parks built around the sets and like that's just how it looks now, but I appreciate them as like separate things and that they changed a lot of things and whatever, but I love them both for different reasons. Now another book that I've never read but I love the adaptation is Never Let Me Go. That was actually written by Kazuo Ishiguro and I love this film. I feel like I can't read this book now because I know the twist kind of, but the film, it's another film that I watched over and over again when I first saw it and I had to show all my friends. I was like, watch this movie with me, it's gonna kill you. And it's great. It's sad, it's like a dystopian kind of story, and it's very sad and very real and doesn't feel dystopian in the way that we have dystopian YAs. It's a dystopian adult, so it's tragic in all the ways, but I love it. One that I don't remember which order I read them in, but I feel like everyone's seen this movie, and that's The Notebook by Nicholas Sparks. I also really like A Walk to Remember, but I also know now as an adult that that's kind of a crappy movie in a lot of ways. It's not that great. It has its problems. But The Notebook is really good. And it's one of those movies that again I'll watch and just be like, this is sad and I'm going to be sad. And it's just one of those good movies. But it's a book that I would never reread, but it's a movie that I'll rewatch all the time. Now here's one where I flat out view them as 2 separate things, and that is The Time Traveler's Wife. The Time Traveler's Wife is one of my favorite movies and one of my favorite books, and I view them as very separate because the book is much darker and has the characters much darker, but I don't think that would necessarily work for the movie. And the movie, I just like the imagery of it, and it's more of like the movie's more romantic, but the book is more realistic, and I like them both for different reasons. I saw the movie years before I read the book, and then I read the book and I love them both, but I'm able to distance them from one another, which is a healthy place to live when you're talking about book to movie adaptations, to be honest. Then we have an adaptation that I feel is way better than the book, and that is The Devil Wears Prada. Now, The Devil Wears Prada is one of my favorite movies as far as like romantic comedies, dramedies. Like, it's so good. Meryl Streep is so good in it, and Anne Hathaway is so good, and it's so good, and I watch it all the time. My mom and I actually both own our own copy, even when I lived in their house. We each had our own copy. That's how important it was. But I tried to read the book, and oh man, is it bad, and no one's likable, and man, Meryl Streep turned everything around for that because it's not good. I couldn't even finish it. And lastly, we have some comics, which again, all fall in these different categories. So 2 comics that I have yet to read the source material for, but I love their movies, is V for Vendetta and Watchmen. Both of these are like dark, gritty comics, graphic novels, and people love them, and they're iconic, and all these things. And I've only ever seen the films, and I love the films. I saw The Watchmen in theaters opening day in IMAX, which I had to drive a ways for, but I loved it. And I know some people don't like it, and that's fine. I liked it. Lastly, one of my favorite films of last year was technically a book to movie adaptation, and that is Wonder Woman. Beautiful, wonderful, blessed. I have read some Wonder Woman comics. I want to get more into them than I am, but this just was the perfect adaptation. I mean, Diana was so spot on as far as her character and how good and pure she is, and I just love her and how she destroys everything. And her theme song has been on my workout playlist since that movie premiered. So that is it for some of my favorite book to movie adaptations. I know I'm probably leaving some things out, but these are the ones that were so clear in my mind. But comment down below, let me know some of your favorite book to movie adaptations, and let me know if you're able to separate the books from their adaptations and if you're able to live that life, because I feel like it makes things way easier on us. And also keep your eye out for Unearthed and its movie adaptation. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see all of you guys soon. Bye!